Marriage. A true marriage, that is.
If you ally with my sister, I will kill every last Roman in Alexandria.
Alfred the Great, Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Have faith that the Lord God watches over you all.
One of the most famous English kings, Alfred the Great is so named because of his efforts fending off many Viking invasions, encouraging widespread literacy, and unifying the country's warring kingdoms. He became the first monarch of all of England. In typical Ubisoft form though, Alfred takes on a more villainous role than history generally affords him. Now he's the sinister enemy of the Raven clan, and the most important Templar in England. In fact, it eventually comes out that Alfred is the father of the Templar Order, as it exists by the time of the Crusades. So much for being great.
I do not know if we shall meet again, Eivor. God willing, we will.
Robespierre, Assassin's Creed Unity.
The man warned me about you. You're one of them, aren't you? An assassin.
Not anymore.
The tyrant himself. It wouldn't be a game about the French Revolution without him. A hugely influential figure in French history, it was under Robespierre's leadership that the First French Republic's reign of terror began, and King Louis XVI was executed. Arnaud and Elise finally make Robespierre's acquaintance at the height of the Thermidorian reaction. Famously, as Robespierre was violently ousted, he was shot non-lethally in the face. In Unity, it's Elise herself who does this while trying to find the location of the game's main villain. And Robespierre wasn't the only leader of France to be encountered during Unity. Arnaud also bumps into a young Napoleon Bonaparte.
I wanted him assigned to some out-of-the-way garrison, but the man redefines the term friends in high places. He's untouchable.
Suleiman, Assassin's Creed Revelations.
Well, to be precise, that is Europa. That is Asia.
Some borders even the Ottomans cannot move.
The Ottoman Empire's longest reigning sultan, Ezio encounters a young, idealistic Suleiman during his time in medieval Turkey. The highly educated prince gets involved with the assassins many years before he'd eventually become Suleiman the Magnificent. Given that name because of his widespread reforms and military victories, he and Ezio's interests briefly align, and it is even Suleiman who helps Ezio finally make it across the Black Sea to Cappadocia, and saves his life more than once. Of all the royals and monarchs you brush shoulders with during these games, Suleiman is one of the few who's actually likeable and remains a key ally throughout.
You are not dead yet, old friend.
Anne Bonny and Mary Read, Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag.
I reckon she's past caring anyway.
Oh, you're a hard heart that should be softer.
Or soft in parts that should be hard.
These two legendary female pirates sailed together on the high seas in the company of Calico Jack, who's much less memorable, though he does also appear in Black Flag. Bonny and Reed famously dressed up as men during their time at sea, and in keeping with this, when you first encounter Reed, she's in disguise. Of all the pirates Kenway befriends, these two are some of the most colourful, though he also ends up running into Blackbeard, perhaps the most famous pirate of all time. Reed, Blackbeard and Kenway are all masterminds behind freeing Nassau from the Royal Navy. Wining and dining the most notorious pirates in history is definitely a fun way to spend your time.
I'd be a hopeful man if you were beside me.
England's the wrong way around the globe for an Irishwoman.
Charles Dickens, Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
They leave themselves vulnerable to charlatans, which is why I joined the Ghost Club.
Of course, the Victorian era's most famous author showed up in Syndicate and almost immediately met the Fry twins. He enlists their help in some of the whole series' best side missions, where you join him as an investigator for the Ghost Club. At Dickens' behest, you'll debunk a haunted house, a ghostly carriage, and even unravel the mystery behind the monstrous Spring-Heeled Jack. The best part is that this is historically accurate. Charles Dickens really did join the Ghost Club and spend time proving paranormal occurrences were hoaxes. But if that Charles isn't to your liking, you can also help Charles Darwin out a few times when he's the victim of some unflattering caricatures.
Charles Darwin, delighted to make your acquaintance.
Jacob Fry.
Mualim, Assassin's Creed.
Alec has told me of the arrogance you displayed, your disregard for our ways.
What are you doing?
There are rules.
AC fans will know him as Mualim, while historians better recognise this figure as Rashid ad-Din Sinan. There are plenty of key differences between the Mualim in the game and in reality, like how the real guy never found an ancient artifact capable of bending people to his will, but also some similarities. Sinan was the leader of the Order of Assassins that really did operate out of Masyaf during the Crusades. He's a major character in the first game, initially being Altair's teacher and leader, and eventually becoming the main villain when his machinations of the Apple of Eden were made clear.
Impossible. The student does not defeat the teacher.
Caesar and Cleopatra, Assassin's Creed Origins.
I can offer you what my brother failed at with me. Marriage. A true marriage, that is.
If you ally with my sister, I will kill every last Roman in Alexandria.
There are many famous Roman emperors, but Julius Caesar remains the most recognisable. His long-running affair with Cleopatra VII, herself one of Egypt's most notorious rulers, is played out in its entirety during Assassin's Creed Origins, as Aya works directly under Cleopatra to oust her brother from Egypt's throne. And Origins' story goes on for so long that we get to play through Caesar's death on the Ides of March, when he was stabbed in broad daylight by his closest allies. The game goes deep into the political intrigue behind the end of Caesar's life, and how Rome came to control Egypt, spending lots of time with these major historical figures.
I'm worried that my quarters are not as comfortable as your palace.
Comforts? We despise them.
Alcibiades, Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Don't mind her. She likes to watch. Look at you.
You'll meet a lot of bizarre people in your Odyssey across the Greek world, but the Athenian politician Alcibiades is a cut above the rest. You first encounter him at a party Pericles is hosting, getting up to no good with half a dozen people in a back room. But he keeps returning and getting funnier every time, asking for your help with a series of unusual side missions that turn out to be elaborate schemes to help his friends. And where Alcibiades goes, it seems Socrates is never far behind, always with another riddle to get on your nerves.
Speak to him long enough, and you may find the smallest hint of knowledge veiled deep behind his enthusiastic advances.
Benjamin Franklin, Assassin's Creed 3 and Assassin's Creed Rogue.
Benjamin Franklin, pleased to meet you.
Haytham Kenway.
You must be new to Boston.
Why do you say that?
You're still possessed of virtue. To stop and help an old lout like myself.
You run into all the founding fathers in Assassin's Creed 3 sooner or later, helping George Washington and other key revolutionary figures in their war against the British. But the most fun character to spend a few missions helping is by far Benjamin Franklin, who spends the game inventing useful devices and giving Haytham some choice advice where it comes to older women. He's back again in the tyrannical King Washington timeline, and even shows his face in both Rogue and Unity, encountering Shay and Arno, and accidentally helping Shay to kill Arno's father.
I heard he would be at the Chateau de Versailles 2 days from now.
And they don't just let anyone inside the royal palace.
Leonardo da Vinci, Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
The contents of this page are encrypted, but if my theory is correct, based on these sketches, it may very well what? Please, sit. Leonardo,
Quite possibly the greatest inventor in human history, Leonardo da Vinci is one of the best characters to ever appear in Assassin's Creed. Ezio first meets Leonardo before he leaves Florence, and gives him a few new tools. He even loans Ezio the use of his flying machine at one point. By the time Brotherhood rolls around, Leonardo has been forced to design war machines for Cesare Borgia, including an early tank and a machine gun. He asks Ezio to sneak into the top secret compounds and destroy both the machines and the blueprints. He's a great character, and his friendship with Ezio is great each time Leonardo returns.
Oh, yes. I'm thinking of repainting the St. John lost in the Villa fire. Salai would model for it again, of course. Then, perhaps I will study a woman with child to see how her body changes.
Check out these other great clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.